Josh needs some help from us, Dave. And
Okay.
so we've got Josh on the line in New Jersey. Thanks, Josh. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. So thanks for taking my call. I'll be quick. So I've spent the last 3 years in the States. I'm originally from South Africa, and my family is super religious. And over the last 3 years, mainly from watching your show and a lot of the Agathon Foundation on YouTube and the rest of the atheist community, a lot of this stuff has been challenged. So I came out to my mom like about 2 months ago or so about my doubts, and she was just devastated. And she told me how she still remembers how that day in church, apparently I was very young. I think I was like 7 or 8. And she told me I gave my heart to Jesus, and now she's disappointed about the fact that I don't subscribe to this stuff anymore. And I'm going back in about a week. So I don't know whether or not I should play along and risk upsetting my family or just come out as a rabid atheist and possibly be isolated and not get to
Well, I would avoid the word rabid just off the bat there.
Okay. Okay.
What do you want to get out of it?
It's like there's a couple of things that my dad constantly, or my mom kind of does this as well. When I speak to her about, she's heavily opposed against vaccination and all sorts of stuff like that, which I get and I understand. I mean, we each have our own ideology. But then she, when I asked her, okay, what is your reasoning? She says, because I worship a God that doesn't allow bad things to happen to me, specifically me. And I'm in this paradox where I'm like, it's confusing to me because I want her to not apply that sort of logic to the rest of her life. Because it's kind of, it's a bit disheartening and it's frightening to see that there's this sort of kind of hypocrisy, you know? And it's like there's an answer for everything. She constantly points back to the Bible, which doesn't really make much sense.
Have you tried pointing out bad things that have happened to her?
Many times. We've spoken about this multiple times before. I've pointed out, if common family issues that both of us have gone through, struggles in my relationship with her that I've spoken about to her before, and she just doubles down on this sort of thing. I thought when I spoke to her before and told her, listen, this stuff is a bit fishy and I don't really understand much of it, that she would have seen it from my point of view. But now she's gone in the complete and total opposite direction and doubled down on her Christianity. And like, I've never heard her speak about inviting a priest into our house. But when I told her I might not be a Christian, she immediately said, oh, maybe a priest could help. We should invite one.
Well, she's afraid.
It's strange.
She's afraid of what's happened to you. She's concerned for your soul, probably. I don't know what brand of religion she subscribes to, if it's evangelical and believes in a heaven and hell. It's tough.
I was part of a Dutch Reformed church. It's exclusive to South Africa.
Excuse me. What are your thoughts and goals for when you go back, and what kind of conversations you hope to have? Are you concerned with causing a rift in the family? Are you concerned with you being not being able to be genuine and honest about who you are and what you believe or don't believe? What are your concerns?
I think the most of it is that, and I don't want to be put in an uncomfortable situation. I remember a few years before I came to the States for the first time, my dad took me to a church, and this was an event where the specific thing that they wanted to achieve in this day at the church was in order to get the entire congregation to be able to speak in tongues. Wow. And the head priest, like the head of the congregation, went around the auditorium with a microphone and literally stuck it up to every person's face, expecting them to do this sort of speaking in tongues. And this was the most uncomfortable situation I've been in a very long time. So I literally repeated the exact same thing my dad said in order for the priest to kind of make his move to the next person and leave me be. That's the type of thing I'd like to avoid.
Wow.
So should I just play along with that and go along, or say no and fight against it?
I'll just throw this out there, and I hesitate to advise people what to do or not to do.
Yeah.
Everyone's situation is unique, and every individual has to make those choices. If it were me, I have come to the position, and I have a lot of family who do not like my atheism. They're very concerned for me. My position is, this is who I am, and I'm a happy person. I'm as happy as I've ever been in my life. And if you love me as a family member, you want me to be happy. If you're concerned for me, then I appreciate that. You can pray to whatever God you want to pray to yourself, but keep it from me. If you are concerned for me, then just trust this God that you believe in, that I'll be okay. And I'm not going to pretend to be someone I'm not. This is who I am. If you love me and want me to be happy, you can accept me as I am. If you don't, if you can't, that's your problem, not mine. And that's the end of the conversation typically.
Yeah. The ACA doesn't give advice, and any advice that Dave or and I might be comfortable giving is just us speaking for ourselves. That said, I don't know that I can give you advice, because I can tell you what I think I would do in that situation, but I'm not you. And what I'm willing to put up with is going to be different from you, because I would absolutely not put up with it anymore. And one of the things, if my mom told me God doesn't allow anything bad to happen to me, well, my mom would never say that, because my mom, absolutely, God allows bad things to happen to her. She just views it as, this is because she wasn't right with God. God was punishing her, and this was deserved type of thing. But if anybody told me God doesn't allow bad things to happen to them, I'd say, can we make a list of bad things that won't ever happen to you? Let's write them down right now. Let's make a list of all the things that could be bad, or let's say 50 things that could be bad. And then the second one of them actually happens, you have to acknowledge that God isn't what you thought. And, don't do anything manipulative. Like there's some ways to be really manipulative with this. And I warn you that I definitely wouldn't do this, which is to do like, oh, would it be bad if you alienated your son? Because that's just manipulative crap. Yeah. It's true. It is absolutely true that she would be sad, but that's not what you do. But like,
I know. Yeah.
And it's our moms. I'm easier on my mom, and my mom and I argued for 6 hours one night about this stuff. It's the last time we'll ever argue about this stuff again. But it was a lot.
Yeah, we've spoken, and this is one of the first times in many years I've seen her actually cry. So, and I mean, it's a tough thing, because I see her in this. I don't know whether or not it's true and it's right of me to say, but it's almost like I see her as like kind of a victim of this idea that she just doesn't want to let go of. But we have friends of my distant extended family who are Muslims, and I've met them a couple times, but it's almost like there's this weird sort of animosity if any of my distant family hangs out with them. So it's almost like if I don't have any affiliation with a certain religion, it's almost as if I'm allowed to now have a connection with other people that aren't part of my close relatives' religion. And the relatives that are really close to me don't condone that. It's this sort of weird situation to be in. Yeah.
Well, the situation you described is pretty out there, going around and having everyone speak in tongues, and your mom believing that God's not going to allow anything bad to happen to her. That's some pretty extreme ideology. And, you're up against a tough situation there, to be honest, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't have any, I don't even think I have any great advice for you, other than follow your heart and continue to interact with your family in the way that you're comfortable. And the minute that you aren't comfortable with something, then you have to reevaluate it. I'm not comfortable personally pretending. I won't lie. I won't pretend. I won't go along to get along.
Mm-mm.
I will respectfully stand there. You know, I've gone to church with relatives. I am at family gatherings, both for funerals and other things. And when there's prayer, I stand there and I, you know, quietly, I don't sit there. I don't try to do anything that's disruptive. But I don't pretend that I'm someone or something I'm not. But I definitely know people who do. And I can appreciate why some of them do. I'm fortunate to have the sort of life and the sort of personality where I get to be me. Not everybody is fully able to be them. Don't get me wrong. I know some people who try to use that as an excuse for being liars and frauds, but that's not an excuse for that. Your motivations matter. And when you're doing something because you care more about your relationship with your family than you do about them knowing who you are, I can understand and see that and support that. The second you care more about what's true and about them knowing you for who you are than you do about maintaining a relationship, that's when things will change.
Yeah. I really appreciate that, Matt. And it's like, thank you as well, Dave. And you guys I've seen many of your lectures online, and you're great inspiration for a lot of people that are confused about this stuff.
Thank you very much, Josh. I wish you
luck.
the best of luck, and let us know what you decide and how it goes.
Yeah. Shall I send an email after I've returned?
That's probably a good idea. I mean, you can email tv@atheist-community.org. Something we don't push often enough anymore, but there is someone there to answer those questions and to make sure they get forwarded to me when they're important. So
thank you. I really appreciate your advice and the fact that I got to speak to someone that's I think one of the most influential people in the atheist community.
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far with Dave, but he's pretty cool.
We all know who he's talking about.
I know. I don't do that well. But thanks so much, Josh. I gotta let you go.